So is Harry, am I to understand that Harry is going to return to the royal fold to help out? Um, because for me, where is it? I can't even see them. Oh, they're there. I just wonder, is there any scenario where Harry would willingly return to um, to the UK to be in William's shadow all over again? Because um, I've seen a few what you call it videos. I haven't watched any of them really, but I've seen a few videos where people are saying that Harry is coming back or Harry should come back and yada yada yada. And to me it's kind of like almost unimaginable, even though I always say, oh, Harry's the next king of England and da 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 da. I think even if a situation arose where Harry would be asked to do this, or if it was his turn, whatever, I actually think he would decline because, well, okay, that's a different conversation. Really, this conversation is about, is there any scenario where Harry would return to be second fiddle to William, to be in William's shadow, to sort of take on the role of that Andrew took on with Charles, and be content with that life now that he has tasted life in a different way. I mean, he's tasted a different fruit. That fruit is the fruit of freedom. He is, he's his own man, he's his own boss. He doesn't have to stand behind anyone, he doesn't have to take the blame for anyone, he doesn't have to share his successes with anyone, he doesn't have to dim his shine and his light for anyone, he doesn't have to walk behind anyone. I mean, the life that he now has with Meghan, to me, just seems to be the kind of life that, I mean, it's priceless in the sense that to go from being, I mean, if you're William and you're the next heir to the throne, then I can see how you would, you'd stay and you'd fight for it, you'd defend it because it's your show. But if you are a Harry or an Andrew or something like that, I don't see how you willingly stay in that situation if there are different options for you. And having left, I don't see how you return to it to pick up where you left off after you have tasted the fruit of freedom and of autonomy and frankly self-respect. Because to me it's kind of like, being second fiddle to William, I don't see how that could possibly be easy or desirable. I think if there is nothing else, then sure, because once William becomes king and Catherine is queen and George is the next in line, then you have a situation where Harry basically is on the purse strings of the monarchy, and he waits for William to give him an allowance. He waits for William to give him a home, and he toes the line because if he doesn't, he could be asked to leave. He could be thrown out of the housing, his titles could be taken away, his work and his job and everything he's ever known could be taken away if he makes mistakes and missteps. And so, and he's always second fiddle to William, and his wife is always second fiddle to William's wife. And, you have from now until he dies, this comparison, which you have anyway, but it's coupled with the fact that you're literally trapped in the situation. And if you anger William or his wife, you could be you could find yourself on the outs. I mean, and you can anger William and his wife in many different ways, including marrying the wrong person, right? So, this idea of Harry should come back, in part, I am also at fault because I'm like, oh, Harry's going to be the next king. But I think being the next king is very different from coming back and being second fiddle to William. I really think there's a huge difference there. And even then, I don't see how Harry gives up his freedom, his independence, his autonomy, and everything else that he's built up in the United States to go back to this very sort of insular world where, you know, there's such a total lack of real ownership and control. He is subject to so many rules, the parliament, the British people, to the whims of people, and ditto for his wife. I mean, I don't know. It's a very, very interesting story and interesting time, and I would be, fascinated to see how it all works out. Someone actually complained that I move my hands too much when I do this, which is true. And he said to me, in the name of Allah, please do something about that. And it's a critique that is well taken. I know that I could do better, and I still think I'm a newbie, and that give me a couple of years when I get myself more organized. Okay, sorry that it moves so much. Anyway, but yes, I digress. I do think that the idea that Harry would be interested in returning to the royal fold, and not only for all the reason I outlined, but then to go back into this sort of like cesspit where it just seems to be so much backstabbing, so many clicks, you know, it just doesn't seem like a healthy mental environment. And then people feeding the press your business on a daily basis and so on and so forth. I don't see how he does that, but I don't know Harry, and it's just very interesting to watch to see how this all unfolds. Again, I think it's very different if he's coming back as the next king, as Nostradamus predicted. And of course, a lot would have to happen for that to happen. And I sort of think that even if a lot did happen, he would, respectfully and lovingly decline. But again, I don't know this young man. I don't know his mind. I don't know what would motivate him to go back in. You know, I don't know. I don't know the future. Anything could really happen to sway his decision in one direction or the next. But I think under normal circumstances, all things held constant, I don't think there's any chance in heaven that Harry would leave the life he has built up in California with his wife, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and their two children, Archie and Lily, and move back on a full time or even a semi full time basis to the UK to be a working royal. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree or disagree? And why or why not?